everyone. Welcome. My name is Sean Rehag. I'm the director of the Center for Refugee Studies, and I'm delighted to welcome you to the first CRS seminar of 2024. As is customary at York University, we're going to begin with a land acknowledgement. So we do have some people here in the room, but I know many of you are beaming in on Zoom from all over the place. So this land acknowledgement might not be applicable to you where you are. And if that's the case, I'd encourage you to just take the time to reflect on colonial relationships where you are, relationships between Indigenous people and your community. So here is the land acknowledgement. York University recognizes that many Indigenous nations have longstanding relationships with the territories upon which York University campuses are located that precede the establishment of the university. We acknowledge our presence on the traditional territory of many Indigenous nations. The area known as Tecnocto has been caretaken by the Anishinaabe Nation, the Haudenosaunee Confederacy, and the Huron-Wendat. It is now home to many First Nation, Inuit, and Métis communities. We acknowledge the current treaty holders, the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation. This territory is subject of the Dish with One Spoon Wampum Belt Covenant, which is an agreement to peaceably share and care for the Great Lakes region. So as I said, I'm very pleased to welcome you all to today's seminar, which is entitled Singing My Own Story, Exploring Intersections of Displacement, Resistance, and Creative Arts in the Lives of Refugee Children and Young People. We have a number of speakers here today, all brought together by Andrea Emberley, and so I'm going to let her introduce everyone, but I just thought I would introduce Andrea to start. So Andrea is an ethnomusicologist, which makes sense given the topic of today's seminar. She holds the York Research Chair in Children's Musical Cultures, and she's an associate professor in the Children, Childhood, and Youth Program here at York University. Her research focuses on the study of children's musical cultures, exploring how children and young people access, innovate, and mobilize musical arts practices within and beyond their communities. And as someone who is a legal scholar, I have to say I'm jealous. It sounds like your research is a lot of fun. So Andrea, I'm going to hand things over to you, and then you can introduce everyone. I understand that everyone, people are going to speak, and then at the end, we're going to have a Q&A period. The practice at CRS is to only record the presentations by speakers and not the Q&A, just so that everyone feels comfortable engaging. So we will stop the recording at that point. So Andrea, over to you.
Fantastic, thank you so much. I'm just going to share my screen here. Oops, that's the wrong thing I'm trying to share. Okay. And share screen. Right, there. Okay. So we just have a bit of a PowerPoint, so I just wanted to share that with everyone. Thank you so much, and thank you to CRS so much for hosting us. We really appreciate this opportunity, and thank you for everyone coming out today. It's really fantastic. I'm actually going to let each of our team members introduce themselves as they talk. We'll each have a few minutes to speak about different aspects of the project. And in particular, I'd really like to welcome Alma Akil, who's joining us on Zoom. Alma is a young person who's part of our youth advisory board, and we're really grateful she was able to take some time out of school today. So thanks to your teachers for letting you join us. And Alma will be speaking at the beginning of this talk just because she'll be going back to classes. So I'll give you a very, very brief introduction. I'm really grateful. I have an extremely dynamic research team at York, from postdocs to master's students to PhD students, and they're really the heart and crux of this project. This is a collaboration called Singing Our Stories, and it really was started out of a research collaboration I did with the 9 Children's Choir, which was a refugee children's choir that was sponsored by CultureLink, who are a settlement agency. And that choir has since dissipated, but it really gave us an opportunity to springboard and transform this project into a much larger collaboration with several different refugee organizations in the GTA, 2 of whom will be speaking about some of the partnerships today, COSTI and Newcomer Women's Services. And through the generous support of the SSHRC, we've had a research partnership grant, or the partnership development grant out of the Race Gender Diversity Initiative, to really foster collaborations across Canada, which we've been working on. So this actual partnership started last year. And so we've really begun working with children and young people, trying to find meaningful ways to include them as collaborators, not simply as participants. And that's very challenging work, and we kind of really jump and dive into the challenges of that kind of work, and finding ways for young people to talk about their experiences with displacement, migration, immigration, being a newcomer, without focusing necessarily on that as the central story. Yeah. I think a lot of times that story becomes the central idea, and we think, okay, kids are their story. But in this project, we're trying to look at the diversity of experiences and how that really speaks to their experiences, both in Canada, in transition, and through, of course, experiences in the home countries. And through those collaborations, we're really working to have young people at the forefront. And so I think what I'll do is turn it over to our partners. And first, we're going to start with Nadine and Alma will be speaking about their experiences. And we'll touch on several different ideas that we talked about in the abstracts. And one of the main things we're talking about and thinking about in our project is this idea of resilience, and how the kind of onus of resilience gets put on young people. You must be resilient, you must be able to go through this. But we're trying to think about how can we shift that onus onto the system, rather than burdening young people with that they have to be the ones to be strong through this. How can we take some of that away? And we don't suggest that music projects or creative arts or anything is sort of the solution. We're really looking at this as an antenna of how do we connect with some of these issues? How do we connect with young people? How do we connect with children and their families, as Rahat will speak about, in ways that make sense for them? And so we do a lot of community mobilizing, and how is the knowledge that's embedded in young people and their families can be shared in a meaningful way, both in academia, but also challenging academia a bit to look at what is research, what is community action research, and how can we really engage with that. So I won't take too long talking. I really wanted to turn it over to Alma and Nadine. And yes.
Yeah. So hello, everyone. My name is Nadine Abu Shaban. I am a PhD student at York, and I'm also the project manager for Singing Our Story. I have been working with Andrea. We go back a long way back since our partnership through CultureLink. I am one of the founders of the Night Children Choir, and we had this amazing collaboration with York. And through that collaboration, we have learned through this project has ended. So we took all the lessons that we've learned, and then we moved into this grant under the SSHRC RDG grant, and we have made lots of changes from the lessons that we have learned. I'm going to talk a little bit about the community partnership and the new addition, which is the youth advisory board that we have created under this grant. So we really rely on community organization and settlement organization because they are very important aspect of our project, because they actually give us access to reach out to communities and access youth participants who are interested in our research and the work that we do. So we start this partnership by first checking the interest of these organizations and making sure that they are in line with what we want to accomplish here. And then they reach out to the community, the youth participant, the youth that they have access to, and share about our project. And whoever signs up, they send us the list, and then we work. We tailor the program or the session that we want to deliver in this area according to the need in that area. So as I said, community partners are a very important role in our project, and we have this year COSTI, Settlement and Immigration Services, and we have newcomer women services as well. So moving to the interesting part this year, which is the Youth Advisory Board that we have added under this grant. And what makes it very unique is that we are not only including participants, as Andrea said, youth as just participants. They actually have a voice and a say in what we do and what we want to accomplish. So that's what makes it very unique, is the benefit for the children and youth that are involved in this project and with Berlin partner organization. And the process that we did in recruiting the youth members is that we reached out to people that we have already had access to through other through the previous project. We shared our interest, and then they shared interest in our research, and we did multiple interviews, and then they started getting into signing up for conferences, coming into talks, leading even to lead the book launch that we have actually finished through one of the projects that we did. And the role is more of a leadership role, where we listen to the youth participant and their recommendation and what they actually want in this program. And we have seen a great impact and a great change where we see the youth participating in something that they really want, not something that the adult just impose on them or think that this is what works for them. So technically, like by mobilizing youth and community-based knowledge for cultural and policy change, our project is a model for community engagement research that has a global significance for children and young people facing displacement and settlement and society at large. And I'm gonna turn it to Alma, who is here with us through Zoom. She will be talking about her role. Alma is one of the youth, a board member, a leader in the board member. She has been with us in many events, and the last one she attended the conference with us in Ottawa. So I'll just give it to Alma now.
All right, hello everybody. My name is Alma Akil, and I'm a grade 10 student. I'm very happy that I could be with you guys even online because I have a lot of studies, so I couldn't attend in person, but thankfully I was able to attend online. So to know a bit more about me, I'm Syrian, and we left Syria because of the war, and we came to Canada to start a new, better life. So one of the best things that happened to us that made us feel comfortable and happy here in Canada was being a part of the night choir, because it was a good opportunity for us to get, to forget our stress, relieve our stresses, and feel happy and welcomed in Canada. Basically, night choir helped us express our feelings and hope through songs of different languages and participating with activities with everyone else where we got to make friendships and get to know more about different languages, people, where they came from, and their stories. Firstly, what we did in night choir was we created a book that talked about the journey of refugee kids, how their voices should be heard, and how they need a safe environment to be so they can express themselves, as they have very amazing things in them. The book was mostly based in for refugees from Syria who came to Canada, and the book is called Zahra and the Lost Voices. The great things that happened was that we were actually able to MC the book launch, me and my brother, and we were able to talk to others, communicate with the other audience, and tell them about our experience, learn about their experience. And also it helped us gain much more confidence and experience because now we know how to communicate with the audience, answer questions, and benefit from each other. I'm very happy with this experience because I always like to be in a responsible position where I get to share my opinions and get to know others as well. Furthermore, one of the most important steps and great opportunities for me is that I was chosen, like me and my brother, who unfortunately couldn't be here because he has an exam, and we were able to be a part of this amazing team as youth advisors. We had the honor to be in the conference of Ottawa last October as well, where we got to know many people from all around the world, sing songs in many different languages. And this was also another amazing experience for us because we got to express ourselves and represent the youth and our opinions and what we want, but also to learn more about other cultures and people. I'm very grateful for this opportunity because this opportunity gives me the chance to share my opinions and ideas as a youth and have my voice heard as well, and to represent the youth whose voices aren't always heard. So basically, I went from a little girl who played music and sang in the choir to a youth leader who's now representing the youth that went through the same experience as me. It's a great change and step for me. So as a youth advisor, I can now share my opinion and the opinions of the youth. And basically, I just want to say that everyone has a leader spirit in them, and all they need is an opportunity to express themselves and to have a healthy environment that will support them throughout their journey. And basically, this will lead to the construction of a better future. Thank you.
Thanks, Alma.
Thanks, Alma.
Thanks so much, Alma. And I think I have maybe we might play a little, Alma was speaking about the book and she wanted to share a little bit of the book. So what we might do is we have the song. So a part of this project was the young people decided they want to write a book. We didn't suggest what the topic should be. We brought in artists. So they wrote the storyboard. We brought in storyboarders. And we brought in also musicians. And in the end, they decided to compose a song to go with the book. So we thought we might play a little excerpt of that song at this point, and then we can I think maybe if there's any questions for Alma because she has to go back to school, maybe it would be a good time to just have a quick little question and answer, and then we'll say bye to Alma. So this is this was a song that was written as a part of the book. Our website has the whole book, a PDF on it, if you'd like to look at it, and all the song includes. We just wanted to share an excerpt there. And again, if you want to listen to the whole song or read the book, you can go to the website, which we actually posted in the chat earlier because we're practicing the sound. So yeah, I don't know if anyone has any quick questions for Alma before she has to go back to class.
Maybe we can post it again because the people who joined afterwards will have it.
Oh, sure. Yeah, I can post it right now.
Did anyone have any questions for Alma?
Okay. Well, thanks so much. We'll let Alma go back to class. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you so much, guys.
Thanks.
Thank you.
There is actually one.
Sorry.
Yeah, she's still here.
Oh, she's still here.
Question in the chat: how do you feel when you sing?
She's still here.
Hello, sorry, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, so basically when I'm singing, I feel like I am like very powerful as I am able to like sing what I feel and let out my feelings and expressions, which helps me like feel like I am welcome and happy as like I get the freedom and opportunity to let everyone know my opinion and how I feel basically.
Do you see the other question there, Alma?
No, I'm not sharing the screen. Yeah.
So someone else asked, what was the most unexpected aspect? What is the most unexpected aspect of your involvement?
Honestly, I would say is that how I got the role of being a youth advisor. I really wasn't expecting it, but it's a very amazing opportunity. Hello?
Yeah, great. I think that's it. Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much, Alma. We'll see you.
Thank you, guys.
See you.
Yeah. Thank you.
All right. We'll go back to our PowerPoint now. Here we go. Share my screen again. Sorry, it wouldn't allow me to share all my slides, unfortunately, but I can quickly go through that. Okay, so Alma, yeah, there's a few photos of Alma doing different things. And she was talking about this book, which I won't spend too much time on, but a very interesting thing was the story was about a young girl who lost her voice in Syria. And she had to fly all over the world to try to find that voice again and bring it back to her community. So the song they wrote about Music is for Everyone to Share is about coming to Canada and being able to sing in all these languages together, and to help this young person find their lost voice again. Okay, so now we'll move it over to Smile, who will share with us and maybe share a bit of music, speak about your work.
Yeah, thanks, Henria, thanks, Dean, and everyone here. Thank you for coming. And everyone is watching us now through Zoom. Thanks for being here. My name is Ismail Al-Fakhr. I am a PhD student, and my focusing on the children, childhood and youth studies. Actually, I want to talk a little bit about my positionality here and how I get to this project. First of all, I'm a Syrian also. I get to Canada in 2016 through the resettlement program with many Syrians. And first of all, actually, I'm a musician and nurse by practice. I graduated, but I get involved in the situation and the revolutions in Syria from the beginning. And we start to resettle the displaced people who get their villages bombed or get affected by the war, and we turn the schools to be shelters for those families and their kids. And I start to get more involved in the kids' activities at that time. And because I'm a musician and music by nature, we start to do some singing and activities, art activities with the kids. And I start to feel how much it's important to make these spaces and make these activities for children at that time. And when I had to leave Syria, I left to Lebanon and then to Turkey, and also I work with NGOs that works closely with the refugees, and I take care of the creative and art programs for those NGOs that I work with. Then I came to Canada. And Singing for Peace, the first song that we composed with the kids, it was in the hotels while we were sitting there waiting to settle and to find our places to settle in Toronto. And then through that song, we get along with the Nay Children's Choir, and then also we have the great partnership with York. And then my passion it comes from there, and it goes along with the program, and then I get the academic perspective of what we're doing. And also I wanted to talk more about my role in this project as a facilitator and creative arts activities. We actively involved in organizing and leading arts activities such as music making, storytelling, and photography, providing a platform for refugees, children, and youth to express themselves, like Alma's she mentioned. And in terms of researching and documentations, we collect and analyze data on how these creative arts practices impact the well-being and resilience and integration experiences of young refugees or newcomers. This involves conducting interviews, surveys, and possibility ethnographic research. Advocacy through art, this is help in showcasing the artworks, stories, and music created by the children and youth as a mean of challenging dominant narratives around trauma and resilience, and to advocate for their needs. And then collaboration and community engagement. And we work, because as Nadine mentioned, we work closely with other teams and community partners, organizations and settlement agencies. And we work closely with the youth and themselves fostering and collaborative environment that respects and amplifies the voices of the participants. And to give you just a hint of like what's doing there in our sessions, we make sure that the place that we meet the children and youth, it's a safe place for all of them and secured. And we give them the space to express themselves. But first, we welcome them in a very creative and like artistic way. And I don't know if we can just demonstrate some kind of music or like some kind of noise here. But we use anything that we have that room to really make it more fun and more creative for all the kids. And we start worshiping and we say, hello. And can we clap with the rhythm? Hello. Hello. And then we say their names, like because we need to acknowledge their names and their presence in our session. Yeah, and we go all around to present their names, and we demonstrate also like some kind of activities and dancing in the circle. Yeah, this is all about my involvement in the research, and yeah, thank you so much.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for coming, and thanks for the Zoom participants as well. My name is Rahab, and I hold a MD in Humanities from York University. And currently, I work as a research consultant and associate in the Singing Our Stories project. And my role is to co-lead the music art-based program for refugee children and their young children and their families. And so originally, basically, Ismail is my husband. So basically, we've been together in the same journey. So I'm not going to repeat what he said. So we are involved in the same programs like since the beginning. So I'm also originally from Syria. And so I wear multiple hats, like being a singer, community builder, and social worker. And music has been like a great role in my life and part of my life. And so basically I use the music as a tool in all of my programs. So I work closely with women and children and in different programs in the GTA. And so also being a mom of 2 children, so it's also give me the opportunity to experience, how music really impacts our life in a really nice and positive way, and how like the way we share, stories through singing and play together, like through music, and so that give me like even more passion to explore like how really like the impact of music on like newcomers and refugees, and that's actually the main focus in my MRB in the humanities. So basically being part of this amazing project, so the main focus was on like delivering this program for the children and engaging them through art and music, but having some interest from the parents in the session, like just like I explained a little bit about the background of the children that we work with. So basically they are newcomers and they stuck in the hotel. They've been in the hotel now I think for months. It depends. And so basically we recognize the need, even not just for the children, even for the parents. So there is, yeah, basically they really like the idea, being and participating and witnessing their children, while they are engaging in the art program. And so basically, so here we created this program for the children and the parents, and engaging them through also art and music. And so through the program, we realized and we really found out the strength and like how like this program really strengthens and enhancing the relationship of the parents and their children, and how like really impacts their well-being, because I believe in a thing that says like happy children, happy parents, or happy caregivers. So basically this program fosters the engagement and like the emotional bonding between the parents and their children. So already talked about the well-being and how this program provides and creates a really sense of togetherness for the children and their parents, and how also it created an opportunity for them when they go back, like to their like hotel room. So it opens a door for conversation. How was the programs, and how did you really have fun? And they start to talk together, and that's really enhanced the connection and the relationship between each other. And we get a lot of like feedbacks from the parents, and how like really this shared experience foster their emotional connections, and it gave them an idea how their children really involved, like having and witnessing their children growing and enhancing other skills and making friends. That makes the parents more proud of themselves, and making like giving them the opportunity to understand their children's needs and their skills, love and communication, and so on. One of the mothers has shared her experience with me and saying that thank you so much for providing this program. It really opens the door for me and my children. We never like talk about music like before. Like music has not been like a part of our culture, and I like found it really interesting for us to talk about music, to talk about and to explore new things, and that makes us really proud. Thank you so much for listening, and can't wait to hear others' teams.
Thanks, Rahaf. I think I failed at the beginning to give a clear. I think sometimes when you get part of these projects for a long time, you forget to give sort of the basics to people who haven't been participating. But in our community partnerships, we work a lot with refugees who are coming into Canada through a system of sponsorship, but they are first housed at hotels in the GTA. So we have some very major partnerships with those hotels and the organizations that facilitate those them staying in hotels, and Parliamentary Costi. And so one of the things is when these kids are coming into hotels, they may or may not be in school yet. Sometimes they do get to go to school as time goes on, but often they're spending a whole day in a hotel room. And for those of us who've been in hotel rooms, we know that can often get a little bit boring. And when you're a young child coming to a new country and suddenly you're in a hotel, and they're very kind of isolated hotels for the most part out near the airport, there's not a lot to do every day. And so what Costi asked us to do in the beginning, and well before even with the choir, was to provide some kind of activity for the kids in the hotels. So as the choir started, the choir eventually moved out of the hotel, but Costi still said, well, actually, our main issue is the hotel, because these kids are sitting here all day and having nothing to do. And so as someone who is focused on children's musical cultures, I said, great, that's fantastic. We have this great team of people. We can come in, we can do a music program, we can do an art program, we can do stories, books, all these things. But it never occurred to me to think about the parents, actually, because I don't do a lot of work with people over the age of 20. And so what started happening is parents were asking to come into the room, which is fine. Of course, they can be there, but they didn't want to simply sit in the room. They wanted to participate. And suddenly I was like, oh, actually my ethics, I don't even have an ethics form for consent for parents to participate. So we had to, so Rahaf said, you know what, we're actually missing, there's nowhere for parents to consent to participate. And I was like, whoa, it's a little bit hilarious that I've been the other way. I've never thought about the parents. So Rahaf said, I'd really like to explore this. And it was a huge gap in our program. And so she started a specific program for parents and younger children. And each session they come together and make music and art and different kinds of activities. And that started to become this huge part of the project. So we simultaneously run these programs for children, we run some for youth, and now we run, thanks to RAF, a program for parents and youth at the same time. So it just gives you a little bit of background into, we keep talking about these programs we're running, but I feel like we didn't really say exactly what they are. And as the program's been growing, we're now running these programs, some of them across Canada, in Vancouver, Montreal, and now we also have some international partners. So we're sort of testing out some of these programs as we have international partnerships. So I just wanted to give a little bit of context there. And then maybe we'll move on now to Sohaila and Tarek, who will share some of the more visual aspects of the programs.
Thank you, Amelia. So,
Please.
this is Sohaila Khalakhyar. Actually, I'm doing my PhD in the humanities program. My work with children is back to 2012 when I joined the Afghanistan country office. I used to take photos and write stories of women and children across the country in Afghanistan until I came to Canada in 2017 and became a refugee. So when I came to Canada, I started facing the multiple challenges that all the newcomer refugees are facing, including going back to school. I was passionate to continue my education in Canada, but I was not able to apply because of my refugee status, and I was not eligible for a visa. So I had to wait 2 years until I got accepted at work and to continue my master's degree in communication and culture. With the COVID in 2020 and with the crisis that happened in Afghanistan in 2021, so as the problems and challenges were multiplied for me, including the pain of being far from the family. I just got reunited with my family 2 months ago, which is great. So. So that was my personal passion and wish to continue my education, and that's why I applied for a PhD program in humanities, and I ended up joining the SOS team as a research assistant. Tarek and I are doing the Photo Voice project under this SOS program. So before I go to just give you a quick briefing on Photo Voice project, I need Tarek to introduce himself. So we do that.
It is customary, I come from New Zealand, to introduce myself in the language of the indigenous people of New Zealand in Te Reo Maori. So I just welcome everyone here very briefly and said my name, Tarek Habibia. As Sohaila said, there we are working together, exploring the social cultural adaptation of the Afghan youth refugee using the photo voice as a method of engagement with the young people.
Thank you, Tarek. So Photo Voice comes under the methodological category of participatory action research. So through this method, we document and present the knowledge and voices and experience of the newcomer community members about specific issues concerning their lives. By highlighting their voices, we examine several factors concerning their lives and that may disrupt or improve structure and practices, and the high-level policy that often fails to fulfill the needs of those community members. So, according to UNICEF, an estimated 15 million children are on the move around the world. Millions others have been deeply affected by migration. So the SOS project focuses on such a great area of need to examine how children and young people can be heard and how they can use the song and photos as a tool of resistance to challenge the dominant narratives around the refugees. So Photo Voice is an ideal tool that is child and youth friendly for understanding the needs and lived experience of the children and young people in their resettlement process. It also promotes their agency by directly involving them to use the camera and share the stories by themselves. So in partnership with settlement agencies, mainly COSP, we have had many sessions for the Photo Voice since last year. In these sessions, we involve the young newcomers to take photos, both indoor and outdoor, walk around and take photos that resonate with their lived experience and stories. And then we ask them to write a short text about the photos, and if they have any story related to the photo, just to add richness to our data. So we are still in the process of analyzing those data, and but we noted that the resilience and the participants interacting with the nature, talking about family connections, goals, friendships, and their dreams for their future and their new community. So the evidence and data that we collected will be further analyzed systematically to examine several factors such as their experience with their interaction with their new community, their access to education, and whether this resettlement process has been a positive experience for them or not, and what are some of the factors that advance their integration process. So these are things that we will consider during the analysis. So
thank you, Sohaila. Please move to the next. So we have a number of cameras that we give to young people during these sessions for the Voice project, and they take their own whatever photo they want. But they are very limited, right, to the surroundings of the hotel when we work with it. So this is one of the photos that Sohaila facilitated a group of young girls, I think like 13 and 16, 17. So they went outside and they took photos. They came back and we basically asked them, what does it mean? What do you want to say through that photo? So this person says that their biggest dream is to be able to go to school or to continue their studies. And as you know, in Afghanistan, that is prohibited by this extremist terrorist group called the Taliban, who have turned Afghanistan basically into a concentration camp for women. And they have turned Afghanistan, I mean, it's a gender apartheid, into an open-air prison really for women. So, I mean, this is a very natural thing for children to study. But for this young girl, it's her biggest dream. And she wants to help everybody. And I think that's also the irony of difficulties in war, that it gives these young people a lot of motivation to help. And she says she doesn't want to help a specific group of people, she wants to help everybody. Good luck, but I'm sure she will help some people. Next slide, please. So this one is a group of those young women that Sohaila worked with. She says that she's most happy when she's with friends, and she too wants to realize her dreams, and she's very happy to be here in Canada. She said that it's 5 months that she's staying in a hotel, and another dream of hers is to leave the hotel so she can go to a proper home and cook her own or eat her homemade food, and also so that they don't have bodyguards around. And I think that is something nobody wants anymore. In Afghanistan, they were surrounded by security guards everywhere because of security situation. And despite the fact that the guards in the hotel are not armed, the young people don't feel very comfortable having bodyguards there, or guards in general, not bodyguards necessarily. One, please. Okay, so This is from a young woman that is not part of COSTI, but part of my postdoc. And she's 11 years old, and she wanted to draw and illustrate something that represents both her life in Afghanistan and her life in Canada. So despite the challenges that actually she's going through being here, studying a new language, she came with basically zero English language. It's a struggle to make friends and all of that. Nevertheless, she feels free. So that right side from where I'm looking, where she doesn't have a mask, is the part of her that feels free being in Canada. And the left side is her past. And she described that both eyes, depict two different feelings. The right one is happy, still a bit concerned, as you can see, and the left one is definitely sad and, as we know, oppressed. So she wanted to just basically have these two different feelings expressed in one image. And the same with this one. So because right now, so that one, the image was because she was in Afghanistan when the Taliban took the country, the first few months until they managed to flee the country. But this is even prior to the Taliban. This is during the Republic. And still, even though she didn't have to necessarily wear her, that burqa, hide her face and everything, she still didn't feel free. The country was on the path to maybe a semi-democracy and prosperity and peace in the long run. Nevertheless, women still had a struggle. So this is showing the historical struggle of women in Afghanistan and girls in Afghanistan as a very, very traditional society. It's very male-dominated country, and it has been for centuries. So this is from another young woman from Afghanistan, again part of my postdoc, and when I asked her to draw something, she has even greater struggle adapting to her new life in Canada because, again, language is a barrier. She's a newcomer. And because she doesn't have the right language, making friends is also very difficult for her. So these are usually the two common concerns that young people talk about. Inability to communicate because of language and not being able to make friends, especially at the school, because one of the stories this girl shared with me was how in school, her classmates, or in groups, they go play with each other and have fun with each other. And sometimes she's left by herself and she has no other choice but to go and play with her brother, who is a younger 9-year-old boy. And she then doesn't feel, it doesn't feel right to her that she has to go and always play with her brother. So this doesn't, this is not about Canada, this is about Afghanistan. And she was very upset with the politicians, with the authorities in Afghanistan during the Republic, which is the left, international community, and the National Army of Afghanistan, and everything that goes with it, and the right image, which is the man with the turban that depicts the Taliban. None of whom give peace a chance, and that vision symbolizes peace. So she's upset that she's not in her country because peace was never given a chance. This is, to me, an amazing image because in the COSTI project that my wonderful colleagues here and I worked, every single time we asked him to do some drawing from age 3 to 16, 17, they always do something that has the tricolor of flag of Afghanistan. This was the flag of Afghanistan used prior to the Taliban and for the past century and a half, basically. They miss their country, they miss home, and part of the reason, again, is like, well, they're in a hotel, which is a confined space. They can't express themselves in the way children should, an open space. And of course, they know that once they enter the larger community, there will be challenges. So they really miss coming, Afghanistan. And this is despite the fact that they are very appreciative and grateful of being in Canada. And if you send them back to Afghanistan, they wouldn't go and they will come back a million times. Because what they have here is freedom that they don't have in Afghanistan. And that's what they don't take for granted. Nevertheless, despite the struggle of being in Afghanistan, they miss the country. Anyway, so this is like a very common theme that comes through. What I found working, in the COSTI project and through postdoc with children is it's a very delicate project. It's a very delicate work working with children, especially children coming from war zones like Afghanistan, because they, in some sense, they have come from a very major trauma into another trauma of adapting to a new culture, learning new language and making new friends, and having, lost all their friends back home. Not like lost in that they necessarily died, but they have separate from it. So working with them is not easy. And one of the things that I have truly admired with my colleagues, for example, I've seen so many times Ismail kind of getting lost in his music, working with these children. So I don't view him in that moment as the researcher, but as a very compassionate person who genuinely wants these children to feel happy, to enjoy their time there. And that's the amazing thing about being with these children. Like Alma said earlier, how their voice should be heard. I think this is truly important. It's not just about why it's important to listen to these children, but the way we listen, the way we engage is truly crucial because, again, it's a very delicate situation. They are internally dealing with a lot of trauma. So I feel working with my amazing colleagues that our research, especially working closely with children, is a very therapeutic, research. It's very a therapeutic approach to working with these children. And I think that's also important to highlight because when we do the ethics approval, for example, we are mainly concerned with what happens before we engage with participants and what happens after we have collected the data and what we do with that. But what we have found truly of great importance is that moment where we put everything aside and we want to make sure that these children have a meaningful experience being in our presence or us being in their presence. For example, we sit with them eye to eye because we know that whether you like it or not, we carry more power with us as facilitators, as researchers being in that room. So we sit with them, eye to eye and work with them. And these are some of the things that I've learned not just through these children, but also working with this amazing group of people here. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Derek. On that note, I thought we thought we might end our speaking portion of things until we open it up for questions and comments and conversations with a song that Rahaf and Ismail have worked on with some of the kids. And so I invite them now to share that with us.
There is one of the song that before we started the singing our stories, that's a song that we have composed along with the kids, with the children choir. It's called We're All in This Together. And actually we composed this song during the pandemic. And maybe we can share a little bit and then we share a more recent one from the singing our stories as well. So we can take small part from each. So the song, it says, it is true that's been a hard time we're going through. It is true that's been a hard time we're going through. But remember, we're all in this together. All in this together. We're always strong together. We're all in this together. We're always strong together. Keep your spirit up, don't let your soul give up. Keep your spirit up, don't let your soul give up. All in this together, it's all a big adventure. Don't sing, let's all sing, spreading hope, spreading hope. You are never alone. You are never alone. Thank
And
you.
it was in different languages.
Yeah, we added the French part, the Arabic part,
That's
and Turkish, I guess.
Turkish
Yeah,
and
yeah.
Spanish. But yeah.
And there's another song. It's just like a small. There's just still And this is the song that we composed. It's not finished yet, but I'm still working on it. It's with the Kosti, with the children who's been at the Kosti, and it's called like saving the planet.
Yeah, they choose the subject that it's like it seems to them that's very important, and to say, okay, let's think about the planet. Why not?
Yes, exactly. We like this is the main thing that we do with the kids. So basically, we brainstorm first. We talk like as we are, talking about the story. What does that mean? So what is like we touch base with the kids. Like how can we save the planet? And they share their ideas, their stories, and this is how we combine some ideas and we start to compose with the kids, like from the same idea that they shared. So and the song called "Saving the Planet," and it's it.
Yeah.
Okay. Earth, our home, so beautiful and green. Let's work together to keep it clean. Earth, our home, so beautiful and green. Let's work together to keep it clean. Reduce, reuse, recycle every day. Saving the planet in our special way. Reduce, reuse, recycle every day. Saving the planet in our special way. And there's another part we're still working on it. Yeah, thank you so much.
Yes, on that note, we are actually the next phase of our project. We've started on our website. You can see some of the songs we recorded. So when the kids express interest and their parents and families are happy, we actually bring them into a professional recording studio. They get some mentorship in that studio, so they get to learn about what does it mean to professionally record something. Then we record those songs, and we're actually working on a whole album. So by next year, hopefully we'll have an album finished. But some of the songs are already up there, and they're amazing. The songs are a real range. One's about dinosaurs, one's about some of the kids choose to talk about their, some deeper, more emotional stuff, but it's certainly not a requirement by any capacity. We had one about Harry Potter. That's one of my favorite songs about Hermione. And when, on the surface, when you say to someone, oh, this young girl wanted to write a song about Hermione. And I was like, okay, great. But it was really amazing because the story was actually about the parallel between her and Hermione and how Hermione didn't feel understood and she didn't feel understood. And so when you actually just let that space kind of and those voices come through, she actually was talking about so many things through the song about Hermione Granger. So if you just listen to the song, you might think one thing, but actually after all the sessions, we actually found out she was really speaking about how speaking different languages, Hermione could speak 2 languages, she could speak 2 languages. It was really fantastic. So those are just a very brief overview, and I'd like to thank this whole team. This team is really what runs and drives this project, and I just try to support the work they're doing, and also having access to the institution. For many of them, as Sohaila had mentioned, it's very difficult when you come to Canada. Transcripts from other countries, transcripts you can't get. So we've actually been very lucky at York to work with our international office to get access and entry to the PhD and master's program, which in turn is really mobilizing these kind of community partnerships and this kind of community research. So thank you very much, everybody. And thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, everyone, for this wonderful presentation. During my time as Director of Refugee Studies, the first time that we've had singing in one of these seminars. We should make more of it.
Yeah.
Okay, so as I mentioned at the outset, our practice is not to record Q&A, so I'm going to ask Michelle to stop the recording.